Hey guys, Tarek Merryface here, and welcome to the Merryface Guide on how to become an airline pilot. Last time we talked about different flight schools. Today we'll be talking about the different licenses you have to do. So we'll be talking about today, first of all, about the PPL, the Private Pilot License. And all that is learning how to fly little planes, and you're basically learning the basics of aviation. This is the most important license from basically a fundamentals point of view. So it's very important that you do it properly and you take it seriously. Once you've done that, you now have to do the ATPL exams. They're written exams, Air Transport Pilot License exams. Here in Europe, there are 14 of them. In the US, there are 2 of them. Do not try to be a clever bugger and go to the US, do the 2 exams and come back to Europe, because part of the conversion course is doing the 14 exams. So you're just going to have to do 16 exams instead. Okay. So once you do the ATPL written exams, you now move on to the serious professional flying. Now the next 3 licenses, you can do them in any order. Remember that. They each, doing them in different ways and combinations has their own advantages and disadvantages. We'll not talk about that here. The multi-engine rating is basically where you learn how to fly planes with more than 1 engine, typically done on twin-engine aircraft, all propeller, and all you'll be doing is the basics. You'll learn how to fly the plane, which is quite easy to do, and then the rest of the time is spent on how to deal with emergencies. And then you have 1 written exam. Sorry, we'll cover all that later in future episodes. And that's it. That's really it. Multi-engine is a very short course. The instrument rating, which is the second one, is basically a course that allows you to fly planes using your instruments. So there are different regulations. You can fly in lower visibility. It's a lot more dynamic flying. It's very difficult, almost as long as a PPL, and it's basically, I think it's considered as the hardest part of flight training, but also as the most fun part of flight training. So there's a balance there. Okay, and after you've done that, you can now do the commercial license, the CPL, Commercial Pilot License. Now, the commercial license is almost like the PPL, except that what you'll be doing is being a lot more structured in flows, in procedures, in checklists, in dealing with passengers, all that kind of stuff. The commercial license will allow you to fly passengers and basically work professionally. Before that, you cannot be remunerated to be a pilot. That's very important. Legally speaking, you can't even share the cost of a flight with your friends. Putting that out there. And I've done the 3 main flying licenses after the ATPL. What do you have left now? 1 more license. It's called the MCC, the Multi-Crew Coordination or Multi-Crew Cooperation. And what this is basically you sit down on a simulator with a fellow student and you learn how to fly with someone else. That might sound weird, but the thing is, throughout your whole training, you fly with an instructor by your side, but you don't fly multi-crew. You don't learn how to share tasks or to do your own tasks and that kind of stuff. And this is what this is about. It's about learning how to fly with someone else. And it's all done on simulator, perfectly safe and lots of fun. So now once you have these licenses, what you'll end up with is what's called a frozen ATPL, FATPL. And what you need on top of that is a minimum experience of 250 total flight hours. Now once you have that, you've got the FATPL, which just means that you can now legally work for an airline, you can legally work in air transport, but you can't be the captain of that airline, of the flight. And you can only be a captain once you get 1,500 hours of flight experience, plus you have to pass another check ride, a very big one at that. Unfortunately, once you have the FATPL, you can't simply hop on the right seat of a 737 and be the first officer just like that. You need what's called a type rating. And a type rating is basically a license for each type of aircraft. The 737 has one, and not just a 737, 800 series, 700 series, 600 series, etc., etc. Each individual type of aircraft has their own type rating, and you cannot fly the aircraft without that type rating. And that type rating is typically quite expensive. One more thing I'd like to talk to you about is the JOC, the Jet Orientation Course. This is a qualification that will basically, it's not obligatory, but it's highly recommended. It's basically a course that will teach you how to transition from propeller aircraft to jet aircraft. It's a very generic training, and it's basically just helping you adapt, because the whole ATP training you're working on propeller aircraft, except for the MCC course where you usually do the MCC on jet aircraft simulators, and that's not always the case. you should know that not always the case at all. So the JOC is highly recommended, and actually some flight schools will offer MCC and JOC in combination. Well, that's it for today's episode. There is a flow chart on the guide in the website, link in the description, which is quite useful. You can click on the link, and all you do is you download a PDF with the entire explanation of the entire way on how you have to how you can become an airline pilot. Quite nice, you know, if you're okay with reading. If not, there's a nice flow chart that just summarizes what I just talked to you about here. And that's it. Okay, if you liked this video, please like it and share it. That would be really useful for me if you shared it. And make sure to check out my other videos and my website, www.merryfaceaviation.com. And that's it. I'm Tarek Merryface, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy flying.